Hi, thanks for joining us for Dublin Today. I'm Stacey Brooks over at Theatre Dublin. Today, of course, is January the 12th. It is the 20th anniversary of Deputy Kyle Dinkheller being killed in the line of duty. We were fortunate and honored to be able to talk with some of our sheriff's officials earlier in the week. The crowds are already gathering outside of Theatre Dublin. This is going to be a great event. For those of you who may not know, this is going to be the first screening of Dinkheller, the documentary, not just looking at one moment in time, but he as a man as a whole. So we're super excited to be here. People are already coming in, getting tickets. There are people everywhere outside. We're going to have some more interviews for you, going to have some clips, and most importantly, just want to remind you to make sure on this day every year that we do remember it is important. We've heard so much about the training video that came out of this tragedy, how it has saved lives, and we look forward to talking to some of the others. We've got some family members who are going to be with us for the show today, so make sure you stay tuned. It's definitely going to be a show that you don't want to miss. Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us, of course, here at Theatre Dublin, the 20th anniversary of Deputy Kyle Dinkheller, of course, being killed in the line of duty. Now I have a special guest here. So glad to have you. Thank you for taking a few minutes with us.
No problem.
This is Kirk Dinkheller, who was Deputy Dinkheller's dad, and I just want him to tell our viewers, a little bit about yourself and what this night really means to you and your family.
All right. My name's Kirk Dinkheller, and I'm Kyle's dad. This is a very special occasion. It's been 20 years to the day, and for Patrick to do this film is an honor for my family, and we're looking forward to seeing it. None of us have seen it. We just seen a little piece of it, but just the outpour from the community and all the support that I get and my family gets, I could never repay it, and I'm lost for words as far as what this means to my family. Now, there's going to be a lot of tears in it because my family will cry a lot, but so that's about it, really.
I can assure you that there will be more tears than just your family tonight.
I'm sure there will be, but yeah, it's a great honor, and I couldn't thank Patrick enough for what he's done, and I hope everybody enjoys it and gets to see the other side of Kyle, not just the tragedy that happened.
Right, because we do know that some real triumph come out of that tragedy, and we know that countless lives were saved. Now, yeah. I know that you also are a strong advocate for our law enforcement still. Tell our viewers a little bit about that.
Well, what I do ever since Kyle got killed is I take his training tape and his dash cam video. I go around to different agencies across the country and I show the video without anybody knowing who I am prior to them seeing it. And then once they find out who I am, then it's another shock factor. Now they see the other side of a tragedy. They see it and they walk away, but now they got me talking to them. So now it's like, oh my God, this is a real person. So I know I've had a lot of people tell me that it saved their lives, and they watch it every 6 months to a year for retraining. So it's all positive stuff. And I'm gonna keep doing it till I'm gone. And when I'm gone, Kyle's daughter's going to pick it up and take it over for me. So we got it covered for the rest of my life and her life.
So you've definitely taken a tragedy and turned it into something positive, which is awesome. And I know everyone I've spoken to has spoken so highly of you, especially our law enforcement, officials. Even we had Sheriff Dean and some others in with us, and I told them in interviewing them, you can tell it was just as raw as it was that day. People have never forgotten. No. And I think that's a great testament to who Kyle really was.
Yeah, and it's a great tool for training. Yeah, it's a tragedy, and countless number, thousands of people have seen this video, and it's just a great training tool. So as long as they're showing that video and people are learning from it, Kyle's still with us. When I quit doing it or they quit talking about Kyle, then Kyle is truly gone. But right now he's here with us. So he stopped the rain for us today, so let's just hope it's a good night.
We did have some sunshine break through all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
thank
didn't we?
God.
After it rained all day. So now tell us a little bit about when you were approached. Did Patrick just kind of approach you and see what you thought about this?
Well, Patrick had contacted me. I had followed his other film, Officer Involved. So I got to talking to Patrick, and when he found out who I was, he approached me with the idea of doing this, and I said, go for it. I'll back you 100%. I'll do whatever I can. And so we've been talking ever since he started this in April, and now we're down to tonight.
And of course, we know it's going to be a great event. No one's seen it yet as far as the public or family or anyone.
Right,
so.
none of us have. We just seen a little trailer he put out as a teaser. So we're pretty interested to see what it all comes out to be. So I'm sure it's going to be well done like his other films have been. So we are really looking forward to it.
Well, we definitely appreciate you, appreciate your family. We never want to forget, and it is such a blessing that that some triumph has come from your tragedy. And again, just appreciate you guys for all that you do. Appreciate you for supporting our law enforcement officials, and
without a doubt.
And we look forward to watching the film with you guys as well.
I hope you enjoy it as much as I know we will. So thank you very much.
Thanks again for joining us. Now we've got another very special guest, Ashley Dinkheller. This was Deputy Dinkheller's daughter. Now, Ashley, I'm going to get you to tell us a little bit, first of all, about yourself. I understand that you're engaged, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about how you heard about the film, and really what it kind of means to you and your family.
So, my name is Ashley. I'm Kyle's daughter. I live in Florida, actually, where I met my fiance as well. Patrick had reached out to me in June and asked if I was interested in being in the film with him and interviewing about my dad and how I grew up, without a dad and all of that. And so I was reluctant at first. It took me about a month before I was okay with it. We talked on the phone, and he drove down from Atlanta to meet me, 8 hours in one day to film. And the film to me is really special because it's showcasing my dad as a human and will give me insight about him that I didn't know. I was only a year old when it happened. So it's going to be very special for me to see that and see who he was as a person growing up and how everybody else saw him and knew him, not just as a police officer.
So that is definitely one thing that I loved when I heard about the film. This is going to be talking about your dad as a whole, not just one moment in time, as we say, but about his entire life. So hopefully there'll be some footage that's new to you too. So that's got to be exciting.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited.
So now when Patrick, you said you're a little apprehensive at first because it is hard. I know it's hard. Of course, this is the 20th anniversary, but nobody feels that quite as much as family does. So I'm so glad that you took a few minutes with us. I know that people are still coming in. It looks like it's going to be an amazing event, a great crowd. Of course, our community is so supportive, and your family continues to help our law enforcement here in Lawrence County, and I know how much that they mean to you guys as well. So thank you for taking just a few minutes, and we look forward to watching it right with you.
Thank you.
It's been another wonderful year at Century 21 Durden Carnegie, thanks to our great customers and our great realtors, including Jody Tanner, Jim Jarrett, Pam Tillery, David Deebs, Beverly Forbes, Ann Adams, Raina Doberly, Benny Helton, Charlene Brantley, Ruth Watson, Jay Brantley, Charlene Lamp, Yvonne Robertson, Karen Widmer, and broker George Durden. Everyone would like to thank you for making 2017 a great success. As we start a great new year, Century 21 would like to invite you to let us help you find the perfect home or land for you. If you're buying or selling your home or commercial property, call Century 21 Durden Carnegie or log on to c21dublin.com. Century 21 Durden Carnegie, the #1 realty company in Dublin and Lawrence County.
Hi, I'm Perry Williamson. We've been serving the Dublin and Lawrence community for over 90 years here at Williamson's Bakery. We specialize in donuts, cakes, pies, cupcakes, cookies, birthday cakes. They're our business, not a hobby. And don't forget our large selection of cheese straws. For special orders, contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or better yet, just come get you some. When you stop by, be sure to try our all-new Pig in the Blankets. We have bacon, sausage, and chicken. We're located at 1634 Veterans Boulevard, Dublin, Georgia. For the hot, freshest donuts, come to Williamson's Bakery. We proudly support our area athletics.
Thanks again for joining us. I want to thank Chris Chavis, of course, who is now the Chief of Police for the City of Adrian.
Yes, ma'am.
But once upon a time, 20 years ago, your title was a little different.
Yes, ma'am.
So for those of our viewers who may not know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you knew Kyle and kind of what tonight kind of means to you?
Well, 20 years ago tonight, of course, I was a deputy sheriff in Lawrence County, and Kyle and I were friends. We had, cut up with each other and a lot of horse playing and joking with each other. That's the fondest memories I have. The night that the incident happened, Kyle was supposed to come to my house, and we were going to watch a program, a wrestling show on TV that, we all would get together and sit around, just have a fellowship together and eat and things like that, and a bunch of deputies would come over, and that was an ongoing thing, and unfortunately the incident happened, and that was, of course, didn't come to pass. We stayed in the woods all night long and took about maybe a 30-minute break, and then I was back in the woods again. I actually, that time I lived only about 4 miles from the incident location. So it was kind of a constant reminder for a long time until I eventually moved, and it's just, tonight I actually got to see Ashley, and I hadn't seen her since she was about up to basically knee-high to me. So seeing all these familiar faces is just kind of an emotional night, and I'm ready for tonight. I hope everything goes very, very smoothly, but I'm sure it's going to be emotional for everybody. I just want everybody to remember the fond memories they have of Kyle, because he was a prankster, he was a jokester. But when he got in the patrol car, he meant business, and that's one of the things I respected a lot about him. He knew how to turn those two off, and tonight's just going to be a lot of emotions.
And that's a rare character trait that we find, where you can be just as straightforward as you need to be, but you don't ever lose that sense of humor. That's a great character trait, and I've heard that so many times over the last few days.
Oh yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
And
when I'm an instructor as well. When I teach students and I talk to these young officers in the academy, I tell them about Kyle and my relationship with him, and it just kind of gives them a more firm base of what they're starting off in, and never lose sight of, this is a career, it's a way of life. At the same time, be serious, but know when to pull those reins back. And Kyle had that. He did. Man, it was just one of those awesome things about his personality.
And we have heard that repeatedly from family, friends, from other officers. And as you can tell from behind us, the theater is already very busy and filling up, and we're still a good bit away from the actual start of the documentary. So it definitely speaks a lot to the character of not just Deputy Dinkheller, but also his family and the community as a whole. Our community is always so great about coming together.
This incident, I just remember so many people. The people in this community came together so much, and people I didn't even know would walk up, and I'm so-and-so, and I can't remember the name, and I feel bad for that, but I just want to tell you I'm praying for you, and I love you, and just keep on keeping on. And that was just something so awesome about this community in Dublin and Lawrence County and the surrounding smaller towns outside. It was just amazing to me, and it tears at your heartstrings, but at the same time you know you have to keep moving forward.
And his dad, of course, is definitely keeping his memory alive, doing a great job. Countless officer lives saved from that training video. So
absolutely. And through social media, it is just words I can't even put into words what it means, because I talk to Kirk all the time on social media. We converse back and forth, and it's the first time I've got to see him in some years because he's been so busy. But I'm gonna go over here and fellowship with him just a little bit more in a few minutes.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out to talk with us. We definitely appreciate what you do. It's a public servant, definitely is not an easy job. So we appreciate you guys so much, and I know our community does as well, and we look forward to seeing the documentary and some reactions afterwards as well. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much.
Stacey Brooks again here at Theater Dublin, of course. Still have a little bit of time before the first screening of Dinkheller. The documentary is going to be shown, and joined here with a familiar face, Darren Mitchum. I know a lot of our viewers here in Lawrence County know you. You know, Darren, you're the sheriff of Tweaks County now. Yeah. But 20 years ago, you had a little bit of a different title. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about what you were doing 20 years ago and maybe how you knew Officer Dinkheller?
Yes, Kyle and I worked together as partners at the sheriff's office. We were friends, best friends away from the job. On this day 20 years ago, I was a deputy sheriff here in Lawrence County as well. And the weather was the same as it is today. It was just a little bit colder then, but I'm really excited to see that Mr. Schaefer's took the time to put this documentary together. I'm interested in seeing how it's going to, the end results, how it's going to come out, and to tell all the sides of everything.
And of course, we've heard from so many family members and officers alike that it is an emotional time, but how much triumph has come from this tragedy. The Dinkheller family has definitely tried to turn something very tragic into something to help other officers. And have you seen that as you continue on in training? We've heard so much about how that training video has helped, but I also want to address the fact that we love the fact that tonight's documentary is not just about one moment in time. It is about Kyle as a person. Our viewers, I think we all need to be reminded of that sometimes, that we need to be reminded that all of our law enforcement officials, they have families, they have friends, and it just kind of makes it a little more real. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe the days following the incident? Can you tell us a little bit about the days following that tragedy, kind of how the community responded, and how maybe we talked about how it kind of was a somber time. It was just a very hard time for Dublin Lawrence County because our community does come together. Do you remember some things specifically that might have happened during that time?
Yes, the community during that time, they came together very well in support of us at the sheriff's office. Obviously, we had a lot to deal with. We had a lot to deal with personally, a lot to deal with, on our job or what we done there. At the same time, it not only just from that day, but all the way through, at least for me today, every time that I'm doing any kind of instructing or training with my deputies or anybody, this thing is reliving over in my head. And so I tend to pour everything that I have into training and training scenarios, and the most I can give to it, because you can, you try to train and plan for the worst, and you hope for the best, but these things happen. You're gonna react, and hopefully the way that you train, but you never know how you're gonna react until you're faced with it.
Because that's a very difficult thing. It's easy to sit and say you could have done this, you could have done that, but until you're actually in that situation, you have no idea what that's like.
There's a lot of coulda, shoulda, and wouldas, and all of that stuff from everybody. But I can tell you from a personal standpoint, you don't know until you're standing there and you're faced with a situation what you're going to do or how you're going to react to it. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Well, we appreciate all that you do, of course, from my family, from our community. We appreciate our law enforcement officers so much, and I appreciate you taking the time out. It is really filling up in here already, and it's still a good little bit before the documentary starts. I think that's a great testament to our community and to the Dinkheller family and to our law enforcement officials. So we thank you for taking just a few minutes. I appreciate what you do, and thank you again.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeff Cannon, President of Citizens Bank of Lawrence County. If you're presently a customer of ours, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing us to be your bank. We appreciate the confidence you have placed in us and enjoy providing you with the most up-to-date banking products and services to satisfy your needs. If you're not a current customer, we would like to invite you to stop by and let us show you true community banking at its best. We concentrate on our local community, doing our part to make Dublin and Lawrence County a better place to live, work, play, and retire. We recently introduced 2 new products, eStatements and Access Now, our mobile banking app. Both of these products will help to make banking with us more convenient and will also help to provide you with a safer and more secure banking experience. So for all your banking needs, just give us a call or stop by and let us show you personal banking at its best. Citizens Bank of Lawrence County, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Tax Time America has been bringing customers all their credits for more than 16 years. Tax Time America has provided our community with friendly, professional tax preparation and is always up to date on IRS rules and regulations and on the Affordable Care Act. Depend on Tax Time America, an authorized e-file provider, registered tax preparer, and a member of the Associated Tax Professionals. Tax Time America brings experience and ethical practices to you with no money out of pocket. Get your $2,500 tax advance. Call Tax Time America now at 274-8181. Tax Time America Income Tax Service, located at 103 High Street in the Northside Shopping Center just off North Jefferson, bringing customers all their credits for more than 16 years. Tax Time America, located next to Cricket Wireless on North Jefferson in Dublin. Call Tax Time America now, 274-8181.
Welcome back to Dublin Today. Stacey Brooks here over at Theater Dublin. Now, got a very special guest, the man of the hour here, Patrick Shaver. Patrick is the filmmaker responsible for this documentary. Now, Patrick, I want you to tell our viewers a little bit about, first of all, what got you into filmmaking, because that wasn't your original career choice, I understand. Oh, no. So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your history of how this come to pass.
Sure. So my name is Patrick Shaver, and I'm a police officer. A little bit into my career, I watched one of my friends go through a shooting. I watched the aftermath and the impact that it had on him. And I had another friend that was asking me, well, why can't police officers just shoot somebody in the arm or the leg? The age-old question. And to me, I thought, well, if I could only find a way to show him what my own friend is going through, then he would understand. Fast forward several years, we made a film called Officer Involved. We interviewed cops across the country, and we put together a film that shows what happens to police officers after the shooting. So it was at the end of that when I reached out to Kirk. Kirk Dinkheller, Kyle's father, had followed our project for years. And I said, hey, I'd like to make a documentary about your son because I watched it when I was in the academy. And the only thing that people know about Kyle outside of Dublin is that he just had a bad day. And that's how we remember him 20 years later. So I told Kirk I'd like to do that, and I said, we don't even need to necessarily talk about that Kyle was a little bit of a troublemaker. And he says, what do you mean my son was a troublemaker? And I said, well, that's what I had heard in my training, is that he had been scolded a couple times here and there, and he said that couldn't be any further from the truth. So that started this process of us trying to figure out where did the rumor come from, but also what can we give people so that they have more than just one bad day to remember him by.
And again, I definitely appreciate, I know the family does, that we're going to learn a little bit more about Kyle as a person, not just that incident. Because it is easy to sit and say, I would do this or I would do that. But until you're put there, you can't say that. And of course, I do love the fact that literally, I've heard it said hundreds of lives have potentially, if not more, been saved because of that training video. But I'm excited to get to know who the real Kyle Dinkheller was. So, and I think that's what a lot of our community members are real excited about too. Of course, I was here when it happened. I remember it vividly. I knew his grandparents, of course, because they were, very active in the community. But I just remember it was such a somber time, and it was a really hard time. But I think it speaks volumes that our community, 20 years later, even our sheriff's department every year, and more often than that, they go out, they visit his memorial, they make sure they do something every day on that day. And the timing couldn't have been better. The timing is impeccable. So when you really started doing this, did you think it was going to grow into something that you'd be having a premiere here in his hometown on today?
No, it couldn't be any further from where we were. When we originally started this film, it was meant to be a short. In fact, we talked about a 25-minute short film that we might just put up on the internet. And as we kept going and we finished that part of it, something happened along the way that said, well, we didn't cover this in our movie. We need to turn the cameras back on and go back and understand what it is that we missed. And so that actually became the second half of the movie and getting that part clarified. And it turned into an hour and 20-minute film. So we weren't even prepared to take it where it went. You'll see, I pulled myself onto camera to help understand, where is this going? And we learned as we went, and we also show it to the viewer so that the viewer learns as we go.
And so definitely a great night, great crowd. I know that the family appreciates you more than you can possibly know. Our community appreciates what you're doing, of course. Now, there are some things I understand that maybe people aren't going to know that they're going to find out tonight. Yes. There's some great surprises. I don't know if that's the right word. So there's going to be some things that we're not going to share because we want other people to see those for the first time. And I've had countless people ask me if this documentary is going to be available after tonight. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to mention is, yes, there will be some surprises in the film, but at the end of the day, they're all in honor of him and honoring his memory. So it's not a surprise Kyle was a bad guy, absolutely not. In fact, I'll say right now for all the viewers, Kyle was a saint. I can't find a single person that can tell me something negative about him. But there are some things that happened, and through the course of history, it's been 20 years, and we had to get them clarified to be able to put the rumors to bed. As far as having the film available, we have submitted it to, I think, 15 film festivals at this point, and we're going to submit it to more. And our goal is to put it in film festivals, and fingers are crossed that within 6 to 8 months, we'll have a release date.
That is awesome. So, Patrick, I know that you'll make sure to keep us informed. There's also a Facebook page. Tell our folks about the Facebook page where they can follow not only Kyle's documentary, but the other projects that you do.
Yeah, so the Facebook page that I use, it's called Officer Involved Project. And you can go there and you'll find out about our films. You'll find out how to get the films. You'll find out what our developments are. You'll see pictures and hear stories of police officers that we interviewed. Our material has to do with law enforcement and bringing a human perspective to it, but also showing a new perspective, something that hasn't been seen before, and that's what you'll get. We're not political at our Facebook page. We don't get into arguments. We just share information, and most of it's just our material.
Now, lastly, how has Dublin received you? I'm curious to hear. I know our community, we are great about coming together. We live in a great community. How has Dublin so far responded to you and to the film that you've been able to see so far?
So I will say this right now, and this may be the first place it's said. Nobody in the family and nobody in Dublin has seen this film. The only people that have seen the film have been my own contacts, and I've had about 8 people watch it. The feedback has been amazing from those 8 people, so I feel really confident about showing the movie tonight. As far as the community of Dublin and Lawrence County, that's a really interesting topic because I was an outsider. Yes, I'm a police officer, but I'm from Atlanta. I now live in Charleston. I'm still a police officer, by the way, but I was an outsider to this community. So I had some people put up some walls, and I had some people say, what are your intentions? I had other people say, you're not going to slander Kyle. And I explained it over and over and over again. My mission is to help people understand who he was as a person outside of his one bad day. Because that's all I can find is that he had one bad day.
And that speaks volumes to his character. They want you to cover it, but they don't want anything negative said because that's not who he was. We have heard repeatedly that he was a jokester, that he liked to have fun, that he lit up a room. So I appreciate you taking time out to speak with us. I know you just got a short time now before it starts. I am super excited to watch it and excited to get some of the reactions afterwards as well. So thank you again. I know it's going to be a great night, and we look forward to that release date as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm Marcus Clements with Clements & King Insurance. We now sell final expense life insurance for seniors. Life insurance available through age 85. Guaranteed acceptance. Call Clements & King Insurance for all your health and life insurance needs.
Legal matters require a highly qualified team to guide you through our complex legal system. Count on Smith Garner with over 90 years of trial experience, representing you in personal injury, criminal, and divorce cases. Call 304-1451. Smith Garner. Real lawyers, real experience, real results.
Testing. Let's see. We're just going to bring this microphone up. There we go. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. That was good. I like that. I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight and being with us. Today's a very, very special day. And I know it means a lot to Lawrence County and people that worked with Kyle Dinkheller. And I'm going to talk about him in just a moment, but first I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Is there anybody in here who has no idea who I am or where I came from? Just raise your hand for me. Good amount of folks. Okay. When I was making this movie about Kyle, it was those folks that said, But that's okay. I was a stranger when I came out here to make this film. And I was always letting people know who I am and where I came from and my background. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that once people found out what I was trying to do with this film, how they warmed up to me. My name is Patrick Shaver. I am a filmmaker, and I'm also a police officer. I'm former Atlanta PD. I left my department in July, and I now work for a small department just outside Charleston, South Carolina. So I'm no longer a Georgia police officer, but I am still a police officer. My first film was called Officer Involved, and just wondering, how many people in here have seen Officer Involved? Have a couple folks? Awesome, awesome, thank you. A couple years into my career, one of my friends went through a shooting, and I watched his personality change like that overnight, flipped like a pancake. He was a completely different guy. And at the same time, I had another friend that couldn't understand why police officers just shoot people in the arm or the leg. So I set out to make a documentary that would explain to people outside of law enforcement what actually happens to police officers after a shooting. Kirk Dinkheller, he's here tonight, he's Kyle's father. He's followed that project from the very beginning. I think he was within the first 100 people to join that Facebook group. It's up to 25,000 plus at this point. When I finished taking that film around the country and showing it, by the way, I took a year, unpaid leave of absence to show that film around the country. And we showed it all over the place. When I finished with that, I called Kirk, or I sent him a message, and I said, I'd really like to make a film about who Kyle was as a person. I saw Kyle's film when I was in the academy. Many folks here did. And that's all I knew of Kyle. That's all I knew of Kyle Dinkheller was that dash cam video, which I'm just assuming we have all seen in here. If you're a police officer, you've seen this video. And I told Kirk, I want to make something about who he was more than one bad day. And then I also told Kirk this, and he'll remember it. I said, we don't even need to talk about how once in a while he was a little bit of a troublemaker. And Kirk says to me, what are you talking about, my son's a troublemaker? But it was really, really deep, like, what are you talking about, my son's a troublemaker? Okay? And I said, Well, what I had heard, and then I started explaining to him some of the rumors that I had heard about Kyle Dinkheller, which I can stand before you today and I can say I have found out in making this film that everything that I had heard about who Kyle Dinkheller was absolutely false. And it wasn't just in my training, it was with police officers across the country. When I showed my first film and they would talk about, well, you know, this is what happens when it goes bad. Look at that boy out there in Georgia who was told if you ever pull your weapon again, you're fired. Couldn't be any further from the truth. I told Kirk that I wanted to make a short film about Kyle, and I wanted to give people more than just that one bad day. And I started working with him. I started reaching out to family members. I started reaching out to people that knew and worked with Kyle, and I started making trips out here on my off days. And then between July and September, when I moved to Charleston, I started coming out here and spending some time here. And I put together an awful lot. And along the way, it turned from a short film into a long film. And I'm going to explain why that is in the film. Everybody will be able to follow why that happened. But what I found is that in Dublin, in Lawrence County, whenever I talked about Kyle, I couldn't find a single person to say a single bad thing about him. And a lot of folks in here know, is that right? Is that right? People don't have anything bad to say about him? Right? Cool, cool. Well, thank you. Yes, please. And I'm not saying that at some point he didn't talk inappropriately about something and say something like a good old boy, but at the end of the day, I couldn't find somebody that said, yeah, you did that one thing out there, man, you don't want, I couldn't find that. So I put together this film, and I'm really, really excited to bring this film out here. I want to say a huge thank you to the Dinkheller family, and there are two sides of the Dinkheller family that are involved in this film, and it was really important to me to bring in multiple people as I made the film. I also want to say before it gets started, and I want to give this out to folks, is that we did bring parts of the dash cam into the film. And before we hit play, I want to tell you what those parts are, okay? We have edited quite a bit of the audio from that dash cam. There's parts of the audio that aren't going to appear in our film. We did this out of respect for Kyle, respect for his family, respect for his community. But we also didn't show all the images from that dash cam. There's a part where we stopped and we don't show beyond that part. And so I want folks to know that now, that as soon as they hit play, we are going to see some mixed scenes of dash cam with some scenes from Kirk that I had filmed. It's important for me to mention that here because we're in Dublin. These are the folks that knew Kyle. These are the folks that know the Dinkheller family. It's important for me to mention that. Outside of Dublin, outside of Lawrence County, people are going to see it because it pulls you in and it gives you the idea of what happened that day. People here already know. But I wanted to give everyone the information right up front that parts of it are inside this video. We are going to start the movie. It's an hour and 20 minutes long. I want you to please feel free to get up, move around. If you think it's absolutely crap, please feel free to tell us on your way out the door. I'm not joking. Tonight's a premiere. If some of you folks in here think that you're nervous, look at this guy up here on stage. I've been working on this film since April. Kirk follows me personally on Facebook, and he's seen some of the late nights that I've had. And I've got pictures of Kyle from all different points of his life that sit there with me in the editing room. And whenever I run into an issue, I just look at that. I've got this one picture. How old is he, Kirk? How old is he in that one picture? Seven or eight? I look at that picture of that 7 or 8 year old boy, and I say, I'm doing this movie for that little boy. And that's what has brought me here tonight. We weren't going to premiere here, but as the film finished, we were getting closer to this, the 20-year anniversary. Today is the 20-year anniversary of Kyle's murder. I said, why not bring it to Dublin? So this is going to be the first time that everybody here sees it, except for my production assistant in the back. He helped me quite a bit with the film. And I'm really excited. Now, 2 more things I want to point out. You might see some picture issues, coloring. You might see or hear some sound issues. This is the first time it's being shown on a large screen, so as you notice them, I'm noticing them too, and the next time the film gets shown, those things will be fixed. So this is also a test for me to see on the big screen how what I edited on a 21-inch computer screen actually looks like in real life. At the table in the back, and I do want to point this out real quick, at the table in the back there are some note cards, various colors, there's some pencils, some pens. What I'm asking folks to do, and Tony did a good job of helping me get some tonight, is that if you've got a memory of Kyle that you'd like to share, I'd like to put them up at our website, dinkhellermovie.com. It's going to be its own specific place where people that don't know who Kyle is, think me before I started working on this movie, they can come to our website and just look at memories that people have shared of him and have more themselves than the one bad day. And we're going to choose one of those at the end of the film, and we're going to give you a framed poster of the film to take with you just for sharing that memory with us. If you get up to go get some popcorn or drinks or something, please feel free just to scribble something out and let us know a memory that you have. The very last thing that I want to say is a huge thank you to Theatre Dublin. They stepped up. When we talked about having a film premiere here, they said, yes, let's do it. And I think we're working on what, 9 or 10 days notice, and look how many folks are out here tonight to be part of this event. So I want to say a huge thank you to Theatre Dublin, as well as you folks that came out here tonight. At the very end of the film, we are going to have a Q&A session, and I really look forward to hearing what folks say. I'd love your feedback, and thank you all one more time for coming out tonight. This is for Kyle, so thank you all. We're going to start the film.
Driver, step back here to me. Come on back here for me. Come on back.
The first shot Kyle took was in his leg, in his knee. It's practically severed his leg. And then it just went downhill from there. So, yeah. That's the toughest part. And it still is. I hear it. I mean, I can hear it. I hear it right now. I mean, that sounds cliche or whatever, but no. As we're talking, I'm playing the whole tape in my head. So, it's what I do.
If you're in the market for affordable transportation, come on into Dublin Auto Sales. Getting to work, school, or around town every day requires dependable transportation. And that's what you'll find at Dublin Auto Sales. We offer in-house financing too, so credit is never an issue. See Wayne Kemp or any of his friendly staff today. Bill Toppings, Alan Fields, TJ DeRochi, or Freddie Cook. Look for Dublin Auto Sales at 1705 Telfair Street and at 406 North Jefferson and 511 North Jefferson, where you'll find a great deal. Dublin Auto Sales, affordable transportation you can count on. Randolph's Jewelry Repair Plus is proud to be a part of our community and invites you in today to see our new tassel necklaces, bead bracelets with matching earrings. All 10 and 14 karat gold earrings are now on sale. You'll save 25% off all pearl jewelry right now at Randolph's Jewelry Repair Plus, and diamond jewelry's up to 50% off. Randolph's offers confidential jewelry loans and will even buy your jewelry and coins. Count on Randolph's Jewelry Repair Plus for repairs and sizing. Randolph's Jewelry Repair Plus on Pine Forest Street in Dublin.
Thanks again for joining us tonight for Dublin Today. Of course, the documentary, Dinkheller, the documentary, just finished showing it. I thought they did an awesome job covering the entire span of Deputy Kyle Dinkheller's, not just his career, but his life. And of course, Sheriff Dean here is a familiar face to us. Can you tell us, from a law enforcement perspective, you know, first and foremost, safety has to be the key. And sometimes, sadly, in today's society, it doesn't necessarily happen that way. And can you kind of maybe just share some thoughts from a law enforcement perspective on how important safety is?
Well, since I've been sheriff now a little over a year, And just from walking in my jail and talking to my officers, everybody's always walking in and talking about the liability of, Sheriff, can we do it this way? Can we do it that way? And I think we've carried the concept of the liability. We want professional people out there and well-trained people. But the bottom line is, I want my officers and I want my jail staff to go home safe. And you got to be a professional, but common sense will go a long ways in any of this. And good training is excellent, but with the mindset of the public now, with people not respecting authority, we got to start being more protective. And once again, I want to reiterate to the citizens of the county that are watching here, or if they need to watch this Dinkheller film, it'll give you a perspective of what an officer is faced with every day. And just like going back to a plain old traffic stop, you may be the most law-abiding citizen in this county, but you got to remember that officer may have just 30 minutes before that faced a threatening time in his life. So be compassionate and let the officer do his job and follow his commands. If he tells you to put your hands up, put your hands up. Tell him to put you on the steering wheel. Obey, be in compliance. And that's what's missing with our generation out there now. So we have teachers that are getting out of profession now because they say that they don't have the discipline in the schools because the young people from the age of 10 and 12 years old are not complying to authority. And then what makes them think if they didn't have to comply to authority for the first 12 years of their life in school, then why should they listen to a police officer to tell them to do something? And that's part of our problem with society. But I want my officers to be professional, but I also want the public to be sympathetic with them when they're trying to do their job, that they will do a good job and they'll go home to their family safe. Come watch this Dinkheller episode and you'll understand the stress that a law enforcement officer goes through in his everyday career.
I thought that the film definitely did a great job portraying that, and we do want to stress that, to our viewers, that you never know what has gone on in an officer's life just before they respond, or just before you come speeding past them and they're going to stop you. We don't know that. So, and sadly, it's sad to me that even in our country we have to have that kind of conversation. We've lost. As a whole, our country has lost so much respect for authority in general. So we definitely appreciate the job that you guys do. I can't imagine the stress that you're under. And you're right. We all, in any public servant, they have families. We want them home safe to their families. So I do thank again the Dinkheller family, especially Mr. Kirk. He has done a phenomenal job turning a tragedy into something positive, and that just radiates from him. So I appreciate you taking time out. Of course, many law enforcement officers here tonight, and I know it was hard. It was difficult. It was difficult for me to watch, so I can't imagine as a law officer how difficult it was for some of them. But we appreciate what you guys do. Appreciate you turning out, and we appreciate you taking just a few minutes with us again tonight. Thank you so much.
And one other thought that I want to say, I try to train my officers that people have a bad day too. I mean, one of my first instances is a law enforcement career with DNR. I had a man walk up to me in the deer stand. I done walked around him 20 minutes trying to find him because he didn't have fluorescent orange on. And he told me a story about how his wife had packed up and left and cleaned out his checking account and taken his 2 children. And he said, when you first come up, he said, I started to just shoot you today. So that stuff, that happened to me early on in my career. And every day when I went out, I tried to treat people with respect and think about that, what had happened to that man, and the way I approached him. And I want my officers to remember that people have tragedy in their life every day, but keep that positive attitude, walk with God, and He'll protect you and do what's right.
And I must say, we have some pretty phenomenal officers. I've had the pleasure of interviewing many of them. We have some God-fearing Christian officers at our Sheriff's Department, and I think that speaks volumes. And so I am grateful that we do see that a lot of other areas don't. And like you said, we want them home safe. So again,
but people need to remember, we can't provide any better law enforcement than what our community wants. And I'm trying to train our officers to get out in the community, not at a call, but in their regular patrol, to build relationships in the community and let that officer be your friend, where he knows what car is parked at your house when you're at work. He knows the cars that's traveling that road every day. And we got goals, we're working towards that.
And that's what it's all about. It's not going to happen overnight. It is a process, and we appreciate you guys more than you can possibly know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome back again. Crowds have cleared out here from Theater Dublin, of course. The first screening of Dinkheller, the documentary, it was an amazing film. I would encourage all of our viewers to take advantage and watch it. Of course, we heard from filmmaker Patrick Shaver that hopefully it will be released in about 6 months, and we'll make sure we keep you up to date on that. But it really did a great job covering Deputy Dinkheller's entire life. And I noticed there were lots of law enforcement personnel here, women, wives came with their spouses, but there are also some young people here. So this is Lizzie. Lizzie, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are. I noticed you had on your name badge. Tell us a little bit about what that's all about.
Yes, my name is Lizzie Mathias. I'm the Student Government Association President for all 5 campuses of Middle Georgia State University. Being a student leader on all 5 of our campuses, it's important that we stay involved in community issues, and an issue such as this not only affects us as a community, but as a region where our school covers, like I said, 5 campuses and a state. It's a national incident, really, and to just be here and to be a part of something like this, this monumental, meant the world to me, and that's something I hope to take back to our students.
So as SGA president there, do you think there's things you could take from the movie as well? We heard from, of course, law enforcement, different officers that we've interviewed, and of course just from the public in general, that there's such a lack of respect right now for people in authority. So I know it's great that we have young people coming out who can relate that back to them and try to to change that mindset sometimes, or that trend that's going on right now. So are there ways you'll be able to go back and share some of what you learned here with your fellow students?
That was ultimately the goal of coming out here tonight. People, like you said, they do have a bad rap or a bad experience with police officers, maybe not themselves, but what they've seen with other people, and that's not always the case. Law enforcement is here for us and for the betterment of our community, and that's just what I'd like to bring back to the students, is that police officers are not bad. They're here for our safety.
And I think that's definitely what Sheriff Dean wanted to echo, that, we never really know what those officers are going through, and it's so very important for us to keep that in mind, not to get frustrated if we are speeding or regardless what's going on, just to keep that in mind, that their safety is so very important. They have families to go home to. So appreciate you joining us, appreciate you taking just a few minutes to talk with us.
Yes, thank you.
It has definitely been a great night here in Dublin today, of course, over at Theater Dublin. I personally have learned so much about Deputy Kyle Dinkheller and his family as well over the past few days and weeks, and it has been such a privilege to get to speak not only with so many of our law enforcement officials, not just from here, but other counties, but also members of the Dinkheller family. So it was definitely a great movie, a great event. The screenplay was awesome. I encourage all of you to make sure that you follow Patrick Shaver and his page as he goes to other places and other areas and continues this work. It is so important for us to always remember our fallen officers, and I just can't say enough about how much we appreciate our law enforcement here in Dublin, Lawrence County. They go out of their way to do so many great things, getting involved in the community, and just want to echo again what Sheriff Larry Dean said. It is so important. Our law enforcement officials play such a major role within our county, and they can only do so much, and they're as good as our citizens, and just think about that the next time you see them. know, a kind word can go a long way. They have families, their moms, their dads, their brothers, their sisters, their aunts, their uncles, their children. So please make sure that we go out of our way, of course, to be courteous, you know, let them know how much we appreciate what they're doing, and just keep in mind that they see things on a daily basis, several times a day sometimes, that we just really can't fathom. So I really want to leave on that note that just we appreciate all of our, not just our law enforcement, our EMTs, our paramedics, you know, anyone who's a public servant. We do appreciate what you do. We do thank you, and definitely want to continue to let the Dinkheller family know just how much we appreciate the sacrifice that Kyle did make, and that has just echoed through everything we've seen on the documentary, talking with his family. He definitely was a Lawrence County hero, and we do appreciate the work that his family is still making sure is getting done in his honor and his memory. That's about all the time I have for today. It's been a great day in Dublin today.